To kick us off, I just want to show you my reaction to Nelson's winner yesterday. I never normally film myself in games, but I just felt like something was coming and wanted to capture the moment. Because with this team, you just feel like we're never quite out of it until the final whistle. But that hasn't always been the way. Arsenal have long been accused of being soft, not having leaders, being bottle jobs. But this season, Arsenal have recovered more points from losing positions than any other team in the Premier League, with 15. So, what's changed? Well, before I tell you my opinion, I just need 30 seconds of your time to talk to you about OneFootball. As I've said before, I don't accept ad campaigns unless I like and use the things that I'm talking about, and I do like and I do use the OneFootball app. OneFootball is an app that covers football around the world, domestically and internationally, because that's what around the world means, in incomparable detail. For live scores, stats, news, updates on the transfer market, and much, much more, OneFootball is the only app you need to follow football. You can even stream certain leagues and games on the app totally for free. The best feature for me is the aggregator of news about your club, so you don't have to go looking around the internet for news. You can find it all on one feed on your phone. Simple. Go and watch Reece Nelson's screamer 6,000 more times like I will on the OneFootball app. Download the app for free from the link in the description. OneFootball, no one gets you closer. Firstly, I want to give my opinion on the use of the phrase mentality in football more widely. I think at times, mainstream pundits talk about mentality when teams win or lose games because it's both the easiest and most unverifiable thing to talk about. It's much easier just to call a team bottle jobs and say they lacked fight, rather than actually analyse what went wrong or right in the setup, shape, build-up, final third, or whatever it is. For me, the tactical side of the game is always the primary factor in figuring out how or why a game panned out the way it did. If you ever watch other sports like tennis, you'll find you get much more in-depth technical analysis from TV coverage, and the viewer is richer for it. However, the mental component is a huge secondary factor in football, and is a lot easier to incorporate into a narrative, which is partly why football is so accessible to talk about, and therefore popular. But without intensity, intelligence, maturity, application, and much more, you can't carry out any type of game plan to the maximum of its benefits. This season, this Arsenal team have scored goals in the 85th minute or later to win games against Villa, Fulham, United, and now Bournemouth. That's 3 times in the last 8 games. We've won games in different ways, in different situations, early, late, after a midweek. We're a clutch team now, such a crucial component of winning anything. Addressing our previously questionable mentality has been huge for us this season. And as with most things, you have to do a multifactorial analysis to find out exactly how and why. Firstly, the stadium's changed. I mean, literally, but also metaphorically. Everyone who goes there will tell you that the energy is just different than previous years. That's not new information. But the way the fans are reacting to the team in-game is definitely different. In the games I've been to this year, Spurs at home in October and City at home recently, there's something very special about how the crowd responds to setbacks. I'd say there's about 5 seconds after an opposition goal where there's a celebration for the other team, before a few murmurings, and slowly the crowd are back as one to cheer on the team and lift them back up again. Have a look at this still from Arsenal's defeat to Frankfurt at the end of Emery's reign in November 2019. The Frankfurt fans weren't allowed in, but ours were. Having a connected fan base, a 12th man, is a huge component to lifting tired legs. Imagine yourself lifting weights with 60,000 people cheering you on versus about 20,000 disinterested booing at you. It's energy and you just feel it. It makes a huge difference mentally, and it's down to everyone at the club, largely Mikel and the players, for re-establishing that connection. It's no coincidence 3 out of the 4 games mentioned earlier were at the Emirates. Another huge factor is recruitment, both incomings and outgoings. I think it's at least fair to say Aubameyang and Arsenal weren't suited for one another, and tweets like this from Mesut Ozil after Arsenal's dreadful start to last season, which he hasn't deleted by the way, speak volumes about how that relationship ended. I'm not going to comment on what happened because I don't know, but what I can say is getting positive energy at the Emirates and at London Colney has clearly been crucial. Those were the old leaders. The new leaders in this team are learners, people American psychologist Carol Dweck would call those with a growth mindset. These recent comments from Arteta about Saka and Martinelli tell you about the characters now populating our club. Humble, determined, resilient, young and experienced players. And on top of that, we've signed experienced winners. When someone says that a player is a winner, I usually cringe a bit because I'm just like, what does that mean? I mean, okay, they've won medals, but Alexander Butner won Premier League medals. I mean, what's your point? But then I see Jesus stood on the sidelines and celebrating with the team. I see Jorginho coaching those around him. I see Zinchenko speaking to the players before the game, his attitude on the pitch, bigging up the team afterwards. And again, you just feel it. Look at this guy, man. But you also have to allow new leaders to flourish and grow and give them space. Arteta has done that, giving young players literally hundreds of opportunities. There's been a natural maturation of players like Ødegaard, Gabriel, Ramsdale and Saka under Mikel, and we're starting to reap the benefits. The end of last season was painful, but you always felt like this team, in these conditions, were going to learn from it and come back stronger. In fact, the adversity that this group of players has gone through seems to always make them stronger. I mean, look at what happened with Saka at the Euros. Xhaka's interview after the Newcastle game last season was particularly relevant, calling those out who didn't follow what the coach had planned. Since then, Tavares and Pepe have gone, and Cedric has barely played, and gone on loan. My previous video talks about my frankly borderline obsession with Mikel Arteta. The depth of character, intelligence, skill and passion this man brings to the job is far beyond what I thought he'd bring when he was appointed. But I talked plenty about him. He's obviously a huge factor in this. Someone I think goes underrated though is Carlos Cuesta, Mikel's assistant coach. More specifically, Arsenal's individual development coach. We saw Cuesta's energy and charisma in Arsenal's All or Nothing series in the summer. This guy's story is pretty incredible. He's 27, speaks 6 languages, and having played with the likes of Marco Asensio, doggedly pursued coaching. Check out this article for more information. He works in a holistic way, aiming to improve the players on an individual basis by any means necessary, incorporating a lot of video and one-to-one sessions after training with the players. Really though, I was struck by his enthusiasm for the players and for the people, and the different ways in which he spoke to people, often older or of a very similar age to him, with a clear, detailed and actionable manner. He praised their individual qualities and suggested improvements in such a nice way. Having that energy around the place, feeling like someone has your back, as well as the experience of the likes of Albert Stuyvenberg and Steve Round, is working wonders. There's clearly a togetherness at the club behind the scenes too. In the end, what we're talking about is people. It's getting the right people in the right place at the right time, doing the right things, and eventually you get resilience, character, and mental strength. Finally, it feels like we're reaping the benefits. Just to finish, I want to talk about my Hill End boys. Perhaps it's just a numbers game because a lot of them are attackers, but I'm seeing a pattern emerging. You can see a never say die attitude in them, emerging in the way Eddie Nketiah chases down the Southampton goalkeeper here or the Leeds goalkeeper here. You can see it as Saka robs the ball from Idrissa Gueye. You can see it in Nelson's winner from the weekend. There's something happening at the club, in the Arsenal DNA, whatever that means, and it's coming from our academy, being exemplified by our first team stars. Pear's strong young gunners are on their way, and his pillars and principles are fascinating to listen to if you get a chance. He's totally revolutionised the academy. The likes of Mario Cozier-Dubry, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri are all knocking on the door, and giving the club a family feel and togetherness as Arsenal's academy goes from strength to strength. Just look at these young players cheering Ethan's debut. The positive vibes are resilient, and they're back at the Emirates. And long may it continue. Thank you so much for watching The Different Knock. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please consider supporting us on Patreon monthly or head to buymeacoffee.com for one-time support. You can find me at AMOnFootball on Twitter, and we're at DiffKnock on all social media. Also, check out our podcast. All the links are in the video description. Thanks.